Tell me a story.
Tell you a story.
Tell you a story?
Like a made-up story?
Does it have to be a made-up story?
What kind of story?
Any story.
A story about what?
Anything you want.
I lived in Cameroon, Africa at the time, and I needed a ride, and so I was hitchhiking in Cameroon, Africa. And I got in this truck and it seemed fine. The guys were cool, whatever. And we were driving down this long road and all of a sudden I felt these like big pushes from behind the seat. And it was like a pickup truck that was covered. And I was like, oh, that seems weird. The road must be really bumpy. And it kept happening and kept happening. And finally I was like, is there something in the bed of the truck? And they were like, oh yeah, it's this bull that's in the bed of the truck that was drugged but may not be drugged for long. So we really need to get you where you're going as fast as possible. So for the rest of the ride, I just kept getting these strong kicks through the truck that were from this bull that was in the back of the truck. But we made it, so it was awesome. And it was an adventure. That's my story.
I used to imagine when I was a kid that my mother paid people to be my friends, sort of like the Truman Show, but in that it was just my mother who was sort of orchestrating it. And the gentleman that I'm here with today is my boyfriend. And we went to a wedding yesterday and I took some pictures of us and I mentioned how he looks a little different in the pictures and he's like, yeah, I'm getting older. But in my mind, in my overactive imagination, I just sort of imagined that he has a twin and that my mother has paid both him and the twin to be in my life. So yeah, that's just my overactive imagination. There's your story, I guess. There's no real good end. My mother paid you as well.
All right. Once there was a little boy who was pretty scared of everything. And when that boy grew up, he was still pretty scared of everything. And he realized that he wouldn't be able to do what he wanted in life if he didn't face his fears. And that little boy jumped out of a plane and it helped him greatly.
I know a couple that met here in San Diego, and the now husband was from Central America, the wife was from here, and they met, but within a couple of weeks he had to go back to his country because he didn't have a visa. And so the girl was left here alone, trying to decide like if she was going to stay and just continue to work and do her job and forget about him, or leave everything else behind and fly to another country to go live with him, which is what she did. And that's it. Now they're happily married and they have 2 kids.
This is a friend of yours?
No, this is me.
This is you?
This is me, yeah.
When I was a teenager, I got a job, and then I got this girl that I really like. I invite her to different places, but she always say no and no. And once she decided to go out with me, we went to eat some Chinese food and we got a fortune cookie. And on her cookie said, your true love is next to you. So after that we started going off and she became my girlfriend.
So I was diving off the coast of Hawaii about 10 years ago. And I was on the side of a volcano and we were looking for these little tiny angelfish that you only find on that volcano off Maui. And I kept seeing a reflection of a boat in my glasses, as though in my mask, as though there was water in there. So I flipped at my mask and cleared it, and I kept seeing it. And so I turned around and there was a huge boat-like object about 20 feet below the boat, and I suddenly realized it's a whale shark. I've never seen a whale shark, and in fact we've been talking on the way out with the boat captain who'd never seen a whale shark either. And so I started to swim towards it, and the dive master came along, decided to come along, and then later everybody else decided to come along, and we went up to this whale shark, and it was brown and grey with white spots, and it felt a little bit like sandpaper, and it had these big flutings like on the bottom of a speedboat on it. And then everybody else started to come up, and so it turned away to go out to sea. So I decided to put my hands around its dorsal fin because it was either now or never. And so I'm there, and the thing starts to take off out to sea, and the water is rushing into my face, and I realise my heart's beating really fast, and I'm sucking down my air, and I realise I have no idea how much time has gone past. It could have been 30 seconds, it could have been 5-10 minutes. I've no idea what the speed of this thing is doing. All I can see is blue open water in front of me and hurtling like this. And so so I have to let go because I don't know how far I have to swim back to the boat or the volcano. And I let it go, and its tail came through and slapped my leg, and it stung, and I wasn't quite sure if it broke my leg or nothing wrong, or maybe sliced it open or anything. So I kind of made my way up, and I couldn't see any brown cloud around me, so I assumed my leg wasn't broken or damaged. And I get up to the surface, and I've almost used all my air up because I've been sucking it down so fast. And I'm about 20 feet from the boat. So I could have held on for like 10 more minutes, and instead I'm like 20 feet from the boat. So I was really upset. And I got back onto the boat, and I looked like I didn't know how to use my air very well because everybody else was still down, and I came up, and the boatmaster said, "So did you see anything interesting?" I said, "Yep, whale shark." And she said, "Oh yeah." And then this other person came up who was a newbie, and so she came up, and I sat down, and I said, "So what do you think of that then?" And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "The whale shark." And she said, "Oh, you mean that big fish?" And I said, "Yeah, the big fish." And so I was like, "Okay, doesn't matter. I saw a whale shark, don't care whatever anybody else says." And the boatmaster turned around and said, "There really was a whale shark?" And I said, "Yes." And I turned around and I said, "In fact, you can just see it just down there." And before the boatmaster's never supposed to leave the boat, but before I knew it, she'd grabbed a mask and fins and was in the water swimming over to the whale shark. And she got close, but she didn't get that close. And so that's my story. When we got back to shore later that night, there was this rumor going around that somebody had touched and had actually ridden a whale shark today. And I was like, "Oh no, that's terrible. They should know. Oh, I cannot believe anybody would do that." You know, you only get one chance sometimes.
I'm gonna tell you something a little personal. It happened today, actually. I got my money stole from, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna beat my friend's ass. Well, obviously, we are no longer friends, but we were doing a lot of Ubering and stuff this week for this trip. I just came to San Diego. I'm from Texas. Shout out to Dallas. And she was leaving for her flight. She had an early flight, and I owed her some money, but I told her I'd send it to her when I woke up. I was asleep. And instead of allowing me to send her the money, she stole it out of my wallet. So I'm not sure if it's hands or not. I don't know if I should forgive her or not, because right now it just happened, so I'm all angry about it right now. So that's it.
So my story is when I was learning to be a pilot. So I was flying this little airplane, a Cessna 172. So it has room for just 4 people, and I was all by myself. And I was flying from one town in Minnesota, and then I had to go to the next town, Redwood Falls. And it was pretty much just farmland in between the two. And this was before GPS. And so as I was flying, I was supposed to watch my map and find out when there's certain spots on my map that I was crossing. I forgot to do that. And all of a sudden I realized I had no idea where I was. I was so lost, and I did not want to ask for directions. I could have called and talked on the radio and asked somebody where was I, but I didn't want to do that because that would be so embarrassing. So finally I kept flying and I kept flying, and I finally came up on a tiny little town, and I got really low and I buzzed their water tower so I could read the name on the water tower. And lo and behold, I was right where I was supposed to be. I just had no idea. And so I managed to finally get to where I was going, and I landed, and I did end up getting my pilot's license. But I now know, I'm thankful that they put names on water towers in case a pilot ever gets lost.
I wrestled in high school for Warren High School, and I remember one time in a match, I got headbutted right on the nose, like, and it just broke, like, and it was really just like painful, and blood was everywhere, just like all over my chest. I couldn't breathe, and I tried breathing out, and like blood would just like spout. But my coach was a very militant, very tough kind of coach, and what he did, he sent me to the cheerleaders to get tampons from them, and so there I am. I go to them with a bloody nose and ask them for tampons, and they happen to have some. So they're like, here. I was like, just stick those in your nose and get back in there. So I finished the match with 2 tampons in my nose and like the strings dangling. And then afterwards I went to go get it fixed. You can still kind of see it's a little like deviated. But I don't know, I thought that was pretty funny. It was really interesting, and I always have this to remind me of it.
One day I was walking through the park and a girl with a camera came up to me and asked me some questions and film me. And I said, okay.
What's up, guys? My name is Thoraya, and I'm the owner of this channel. I'm also the person behind the camera, and I thought I'd take a minute to thank all the subscribers I've gained so far, and maybe ask the new viewers to hit the subscribe button if you like this episode, or if you're a fan of my channel in general. That would mean a lot. Thank you.